That's true. Wow, that's true. Well, I saw here on your new, you had 35 thoughts, right? Now you got 39. They're new, right? I glanced down here while we were talking here, and you said we must teach free enterprise, free market entrepreneurship to capitalism in school. Why don't we have you ever seen a children's book teaching kids about investing?
It should do that.
Why they haven't done that?
I don't know. I think there hasn't been enough really business people teaching school, enough educated people in the top echelon of educators that say we need.
Well, watch this, Jay. You ain't luck today. You are in luck today. I should have had this out already. Oh.
As you know, I support education. I really believe in education. And
so, my son's name is Wesley. I wish I'd have had my hardcovers today, but I'm running low on my hardcovers. But my son's name is Wesley, and this came out in 2015. It's titled Wesley Learns to Invest for Mr. Jake Jabs. Then in 2019, I came back and wrote Wesley Learns About Credit, because you got credit is very important, right? And then when I moved here to Denver, I know you're a Broncos fan. I partnered with Terrell Davis, and we wrote Wesley Learns About Insurance. Look at that. Those are the people. Those are for you. So
good job. Good job.
Yeah, definitely. But I saw it. I noticed it back in when I went through, while I served in the military. I got my associate degree, bachelor's degree, MBA. And when I was learning about investing in these things, and my son would bring home books, and it would be like, the cat jumped over to this and that or whatever. And I said, you know what? I started podcasting. I started YouTubing, talking about financial literacy, investing, public markets, whatever. I said, man, why nobody taught me about this? Right. And I asked my dad, I said, Dad, why don't you buy stocks when we was little? Because we had an Apple computer, we wore the Nikes, we did this. And my dad my dad's a school teacher, old Army veteran school teacher. And he said, son, I didn't know you could do that. Right. And he said, hey, back then, he said, now you guys can just pick up your phone and look at things and pull up stuff or whatever. He said, back then I had to drive to Atlanta. They would have wanted this much money, blah, blah, blah. He said, you guys have more access now. So I went with the motto of, what if my dad knew, right? What if somebody had told my dad or whatever? But I just feel like these topics got to be broken down. So I take complex topics like real estate, investing, stocks, whatever, and then break it down to the kids' age in his real world, like what I'm really doing with Wesley in real life, to say, hey, this is what we're doing, father-son storyline, to learn about these different financial topics. So, yeah. So that's for you. That's my little
good job
story there. So I said, hey, if you don't see it, go create it. That's what I did. I went and created it. I said, hey, studied in my basement, wrote it, self-published it myself, put it out myself, used my own podcasts and things like that, and, got it around the globe. Took it with me in my military place. Then I wrote the second one. Then I wrote the third one. Now I'm going to write the fourth one on real estate, and just keep going in. And then, it got into Boys and Girls Club. So we did the Boys and Girls Club, where we turned kids into first-term shareholders of stocks if they read each one of the books and pass a quiz on each one of the books. Because my first lesson first time I ever heard what stocks were or anything like that was in economics class in 9th grade by Mr. Kroll. But when we saw it, nobody around me was buying or investing in stocks. So I didn't feel like it applied to me. Plus, the images that I saw was a guy in a suit and tie on Wall Street. Here I am in the country. Oh, that guy's probably rich. That's what rich people do. That's what rich, that doesn't apply to me, right?
Right.
So nobody around me was doing it. So it was like the pie in the sky theory. I knew enough to pass the quiz and just threw it out because I said, hey, that's what rich people do. But I figured, hey, if I can make it tangible, hey, look, now you own Coca-Cola. You own 2 shares of Coca-Cola. Here's a stock certificate. Now you own 2 shares of Nike or whatever. And I just started my own initiative, started my own foundation, and that's what we did with the Broncos Boys and Girls Club, spread it all across the globe. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I always wondered when I saw this, and I had a chance to meet with Mr. Buffett before, Warren Buffett, at his office in Omaha, and it's kind of funny that one of his first big businesses was the furniture business.
Yeah, he bought the furniture.
Y'all do remind me a lot. Y'all about the same age.
Yeah,
y'all the same age.
He's still working too, by the way.
Yeah, he's still working. I was just like, what are you doing here? Like, why you still be here in this little office here? But just to see how he was, y'all kind of got the same. I think y'all came from a different generation. Of he's simple. He's not flashy. Just kind of makes his money, and that's what he does. Very low key, under the radar type of guy. My chance of meeting him, but I was always intrigued, like why nobody talked about this stuff in all these years. to say, hey, let's teach the next generation. And the thing is, kids, they don't do it because they wasn't introduced to it. It's a new language.
Yeah.
You credit, you just go figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
Investing, hopefully you get a good friend and figure it out on your own.
Right.
So, but I saw that, and I saw that one of your principles, we must teach this free. And I was like, boom, we did this back in like 8 years ago. But like you said, I'm underground, quiet guy who just self-promote, put his own stuff out there, does his own thing, wrote a cartoon, created a cartoon, the Wesley Learns cartoon, where, Wes is my character and everything like that. But because my thing is leaving an impact on the world, right? And one of my major goals is this, once I leave this earth or whatever, is that when a kid turns 18 years old, everybody floods you with opportunities. Here's a student loan. Here's a loan to go for this. Here's a loan for this. Here's a scholarship. Here's a grant. Why not do that for kindergartners?
Yeah.
Put it in an investment account for them. Because one of the issues I ran into with the program was some of the kids will read the books. Now we give them all a pizza party at the end, but their parents have to go create a brokerage account for them, so I can transfer the shares and stocks to them. Some parents were illegal. Some parents had sketchy backgrounds. Some kids were in foster care. So it felt like my work was in vain, that no matter how much I taught them, the kid was all excited. Hey, yes, I would love to do this, whatever. But I couldn't execute it. So I thought about it. I said, you know what? Every kid goes to kindergarten. Every kid. Everybody goes to kindergarten. So if you go to kindergarten, why not say, hey, you know what? You have an investment account. If you successfully graduate high school and you get enrolled into college, that's the way you combat financial literacy. You got to take a financial literacy course every year, K through 12, which the state of Colorado already has. And then turn around and say, hey, you're incentivized to finish school, to go to school, because now you can see I have an investment. It's something as simple as an index fund. Index fund is slowly, pays dividend reinvested for 12 years. That's why I want to do kindergartners, because they have 12 years. Versus if I did a teenager, they only have 1, 2, 3 years before they need to use the money. You have 12 years of compound over time. You're getting a financial literacy course, and then now you can utilize that to alleviate student loans, because now everybody wants to get rid of student loans. And I'm with you. I saw in your book, I kind of got your economical view on free enterprise. Everybody said, hey, student loan forgiveness. Great. I got my student loans forgiven. What are we going to do next year? Every year somebody's graduating high school, college, getting a master's degree, doctorate degree. What are we going to do? Just keep giving out, keep forgiving, make school free. What are we going to do there? Versus to say we have an economical machine, that you witness yourself, right? Why don't we use our own economical machine to get rid of our own, debt, right? So that's my spiel. That's my mission, my goal.
I'd never thought about that, and
I know. That's why I started it. That's why I did it.
Because I never bought a stock share in my life. I've always just put my money back in my own money back in my business.
Yeah.
But I like the idea, and that's new. Thank you. Mm-hmm. I've never thought about giving younger people a share of stock in Coca-Cola. That was Warren Buffett. Coca-Cola, or the real safe investments. Yeah. And then they could sit and watch the increase and get the dividends and so forth. That's a good idea. I like that.
Oh yeah,
I really do. I never thought of that, and particularly poor people. I grew up poor.
I read the story, and the thing about it is, when you're in an impoverished area, right? So when you go in there, I have to go talk to the parent and say, "Hey, will you open up because it has to be a custodian account? Would you open up an investment account?" These parents are thinking about the rent. They're like, "Are you crazy? Like, how much that costs? I barely can keep a bank account open, let alone, Yeah. And I remember one parent won stocks, and they was getting dividend payments. They thought it was a fee. They was like, "Why I keep getting these fees in my accounts?" I'm like, "Oh no, those are dividend payments. Those are interest. They're paying you interest. It's not the other way around."
Yeah, it's an investment.
Yeah, they look at the word dividend interest. They're like, "Why am I being charged interest?" And it's like, no, you're in a drip program. It's buying
you. They need to look at it as an investment.
But you're talking to people who you're on a certain side of town where people, they're like you said, they live in a whole different world,
Sure.
right? If you live on one side of the tracks, yes, your house is growing up in equity, business is good, your market is doing well, and wow, look, I bought this house for 400,000, now it's worth 800,000, and blah blah, everything is good. There's people on the other side whose rent is going up every month or every year, but their pay is not going up.
Yeah, they don't have the assets.
And you're telling them to go buy some Coca-Cola? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Right? So when they're trying to figure out where they're going to be living next month, or they're going to live with somebody else. So, and some parents just didn't do it. I couldn't even give away the stock because the parents wouldn't even open up the investment account. One parent I had to sit with for 4 months and just beg them to finally to finally just, hey, get a brokerage account in the child's name for me to be able to transfer the shares to. So that was one of my goals. I said, you know, when you get into kindergarten, what is one of the cheapest ways to get kids to invest? We know real estate could be expensive, right? We know starting a business could be a little pricey. And the kid is 5 or 6 years old. Why don't we just start this conversation with, we got the vehicles. We got 529s and college this and college that, but nobody's putting gas in the vehicles. You know, so put the gas in the vehicle. Why are you waiting until I turn 18? Then congratulations, you go to college. Where were you back in 84? I wish somebody would have done that in 84 for me and said, hey, you know what? We're going to give you, even though I don't know what you're talking about. What are you doing? Give me a nice little picture to hang up on my wall, and look what look what it started. But every time I helped a parent and they opened up an investment account, they always did more because they said, "Well, I got this account now. I guess I'll buy some more or do things like that.
Make it work.
Make it work." You know, and the thing is to change the conversation. The financial industry is the only. When you go sell furniture, you don't have to tell people like, "Hey, look, you need a couch because you need a place to sit." You know, or hey, you should get a nice couch because it sits comfortable. They know they need the couch. Same thing with a barber. A barber doesn't have to say, hey, Jake, you really need to get a haircut, or whatever, right? You kind of know you need a haircut. When you go to get gas or to change your oil, the mechanic doesn't have to say, hey, Jake, you really need to change your oil. You kind of know these things. The financial industry is the only industry where you have to educate somebody so long before they even think about making an investment or to purchase insurance or their credit. It's one of those things where, like I was, when I got out of boot camp and I went to go get my first cell phone, and they said, hey, you got to pay a deposit depending on your credit. And I said, oh, I know I got good credit because I never used it. It comes back like, yeah, you don't have any credit. That was my path of learning about starting credit, but these conversations should be brought up at a young age to where, hey, we don't need to say you're going to be the next Warren Buffett, but at least that conversation to where now they're going to a broker or an investment advisor, or they're going out on their own. They know what they got to do. They just got to go just get the access to be able to do it versus you have to do all these things or whatever. But yeah, that's my little horse
that's
there.
Very interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That's a good.
But one day I'm gonna start with one school. I started as a thing where started with one kid and there are 2 kids and 3 kids, and kind of learning how the entrepreneurship.
If they saw it working,
this doesn't work. This doesn't, man. This depends on the parents. Well, how can we get it to the next point? How can we do it from there? But I'm gonna start with one school. Find one school that's interested in doing it, and then find the funding from one source to say, hey, would you be interested in partnering with this one school? Let's see how it goes. Because guess what? It's not going to pay you the dividends right now, but 12 years from now, you're going to have a child say, thank you. Yeah. Guaranteed, long after we're going off of this earth, they're going to be like, wow, this really worked. This really got the conversation, changed the conversation.